What is happening in the Philippines? In the Philippines, where monsoons and typhoons regularly visit and rivers swell each rainy season, flood control is not just infrastructure, it is survival. For years, government officials have promised that billions of pesos in climate-tagged projects would protect communities, building dikes, river walls, drainage systems, and spillways. Yet, in 2025, when the rains came, Manila and nearby provinces like Bulacan, Malabon, Valenzuela, Pasig, Marikina, Cavite, and Rizal once again found themselves submerged. Roads disappeared under brown water, homes were inundated, families evacuated. People began asking the same question: where did all the money go? It did not take long for suspicions to turn into accusations. Residents discovered that many of the flood control projects that were supposedly completed existed only on paper. In places like Plaridel, Bulacan, dikes costing millions of pesos were listed as finished, but on inspection were nothing more than incomplete mounds of dirt with exposed rods and weak foundations. Even without major storms, water would break through and flood homes. The public began to suspect what they had feared all along, that the problem was not just poor engineering, but corruption. The scandal deepened when investigations revealed that of over 2,000 accredited contractors, just 15 were cornering nearly 20% of the entire flood control budget, raising alarms about favoritism and rigged bidding processes. Reports surfaced of ghost projects, work declared finished, funds dispersed, but no real construction on the ground. Greenpeace estimated that over 1 trillion pesos of climate-tagged spending may have been compromised since 2023, calling it one of the worst plunders of public climate funds in the country's history. Public anger boiled over as the floods worsened. Students walked out of universities, chanting for accountability. Protesters began organizing a mass demonstration they called the Trillion Peso March, scheduled for September 21, 2025, a symbolic date and a statement that citizens had had enough. Civil society groups, religious leaders, and business coalitions demanded a fully independent investigation into every flood control project. Under intense pressure, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. announced the creation of an independent commission to probe the anomalies. He promised that no one, regardless of political status, would be spared if found guilty. The Secretary of Public Works was replaced. Contractors under suspicion faced blacklisting, and bidding for new projects was temporarily halted as audits and site inspections were launched. But for ordinary Filipinos living in flood-prone areas, these announcements were cold comfort. In Bulacan, Cavite, and Rizal, people still waded through thigh-deep water to go to work, slept on elevated wooden planks to avoid sleeping in wet floors, and suffered from illnesses caused by standing water. The dikes and drainage systems that should have kept them safe were either crumbling, unfinished, or never built at all. The deeper problem is systemic, a lack of oversight, transparency, and accountability that allowed ghost projects and substandard construction to pass unchecked. Some contractors subcontracted work to smaller firms with no capacity to build to specification, leading to weak structures. Funds were sometimes diverted to areas that were not even priority flood zones, while the most vulnerable communities were left exposed year after year. This story is far from over. Investigations continue, and there is hope that those responsible will face justice. Activists are calling for reforms that will make project implementation more transparent, with communities involved in monitoring where funds go and verifying that work is actually completed. For many Filipinos, this is not just about flooded streets. It is about demanding that the promises made to protect them be kept. In a nation battered by storms, corruption in flood control is not just theft, it is a betrayal that turns each rainy season into a disaster. Whether this moment becomes a turning point, where real reform takes place, or just another chapter of unfulfilled promises, will depend on how the country responds now before the next rains come.